Smiley face until it comes up.
Oh.
And we're on the 7th day, which is crazy.
Really? Wow. So you're almost done.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So now we are officially live. So I just want to welcome everyone back to the 12 Days of DFIRmas. We are on our 7th day of DFIRmas, which is crazy. And we've had some all-star guests line up, and we have an all-star with us today. So Geraldine, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into digital forensics?
Sure. My name is Geraldine Blay. I go by Jerry, or I also go by Siri's mom. That's my partner, my work partner. Is I have a dog, electronic detection canine, and I got started in digital forensics when I was like 2, I would say, because I would play around with the computer. I would sit with my dad while he was programming, and that's how I learned a little bit of coding. And I would like break things and then try to fix them. So that's how I got started. But then I went to college. Have a I have minors in math and computer science, but that was a lot of theory. So it was really boring to me back then because I was like, what do I need this for? Um,
Yeah.
and fast forward, I went into law enforcement because my choices were I wanted to be either a stunt woman or I wanted to be a cop. So
Like a stunt woman like in the movies?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But that didn't work out because it's really expensive. So I decided to become a cop, and I didn't even know about digital forensics when I started. And I found out about the unit, and um, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I can combine computer science and my computer background with investigations, which is what I like to do. And I started my master's degree in digital forensics here at UCF, at University of Central Florida, and I put in for the position, and I've been in our unit since sorry 2016. I've been sick. I was like in Puerto Rico last week, and I came back. Just my voice is a mess. Um, so I put in for the digital forensics unit, and I have been there full time since 2016. I work for a local sheriff's office, and here in Central Florida. And yeah, most of my work, I love doing research. I do a lot of work for the Spanish community, for the Hispanic community. That's a huge passion of mine. And that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. So you have a little Christmas sweater on. What is it? What does it say?
It is the Grinch. That's how I'm feeling this year because I got sick right before Christmas. So
Oh, it will get better, I swear. Right at the end of the movie, right? His heart grows, everything ends up a happy
yeah.
ending. So yeah. All right. So what are some we've been kind of going on the trends of like 2023, what research people have been interested in, and what's kind of like evolved in terms of trends. So is there a certain research project that has been exciting for you in digital forensics?
A lot of my work this year has been into unsupported apps. Everything from like mobile devices. Obviously, I do a lot of work with Alex for the leaps, A-leap, I-leap, and also vehicle forensics as well. V-leap is Alex's and I's baby. We have not been able to do as many modules as we've wanted to. So just a little side note, if anybody has any vehicle images that you can share with us that have like actual user data, please do so. Uh, um, so we can add more modules. So a lot of it has been vehicles. Also, I have been doing a little bit of Internet of Things research. So
What
that's
is your favorite Internet of Thing that you've been working on? Like what device is it?
Well, the latest thing I've been working on, so I did a little bit of Alexa stuff, and the latest thing I've been working on is trying to decipher stuff for a printer. Like we
Oh,
got
okay.
a fraud case at work, so I've been doing a lot of that.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
exciting.
Yeah. It is interesting because I think when people think of Internet of Things, they're automatically thinking of like Ring door cams, Alexa, Google Home, stuff like that. So I think we forget about how like printers, for instance,
Mhm.
right? And all of the different capabilities that are built into them and how they have actually evolved over the years too. So they store a ton of data. So
And
that's
also,
really interesting.
I totally forgot. I got a little tracking device that somebody used in one of my cases, and I've been doing a lot of research on that. I even took it to Puerto Rico to generate some data. So it's
Oh, awesome.
a little tracking that you put on.
Yeah, I'm assisting with something similar. So I have an air tag that I'm carrying around,
Uh-huh.
and I forget because it's been with me for so long that it's on me. So when other people have devices around me, they're like, "Do you have an air tag?" I just got this. I'm like, "Oh, that's me." I'm the nefarious actor. So sorry,
That's
but
great.
I forget that it's there, so I don't say anything. But no, it's good. So that the tracking device, have you dove into the research, or are you just still in the data gathering phase?
Both. I'm
Both.
still gathering data, but I started looking at it because I started looking at it as part of my case first, so I kind of know what the data looks like. Uh, but questions keep coming up. It's like, oh, what if this happened or whatever. So it's like an ongoing thing. Yeah. I need to
All the what ifs that we have to answer for.
yeah. So I need at some point to like stop and like start writing because I keep paying like $30 a month for this thing.
Oh my gosh. Can you share what type of device it is?
Yeah, it's called Happen, HAPN. So it's like a little. I don't even have it like in my room. And fun fact, Siri hits on it. So yeah, Siri alerts on AirTags. She alerts on that. So
Awesome. Siri just looking out for us all the time. I
yeah, they're
appreciate
not
that.
napping, but
She works out our week. She's enjoying her weekend. I'm also in my weekend phase. So
oh, I am melting because I decided to wear a sweater here in Florida, and
I know it's been really crazy. So for people who don't live in Florida, we always joke around that Florida winter is like maybe 3 days long, but you never know how to dress, right? You go out and it's 65 degrees, and then by like 11 o'clock in the morning, it's 90. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna look, I'm gonna put a fall outfit on today, and then be roasting by
like
11 o'clock. So keep on your toes, layers, layers. That's
yeah,
all I recommend people. Um, awesome. So we actually had this fun little conversation
oh my,
planning for the podcast. So as part of the podcast, I asked everyone to like submit pictures for me so that way I could use them for social media marketing. And you didn't have updated headshot, so we were going to use an AI tool to generate that. Can you kind of go into your experience?
it was awful. I had no idea. Like I've been reading reviews to see which one was better and all of that. So, but I didn't know, and I needed the picture. So I asked Alex because I know he had a lot of success with his LinkedIn picture. He was AI generated. So he told me which one he used. I don't even remember the name. I can look it up. And so I did it. I paid him the money, whatever, like $40, and I submit the pictures. I follow instructions, like everything. I searched for like a while just to make sure I had the right pictures, like they were asking. And when I get the result back, number one, none of them looked like me. They were all like movie stars, and then a bunch of kids. It was so creepy. Like
Yeah.
I showed Amy, I was like, oh, I cannot. What is
It
this?
was just, like, bizarre. I feel like a lot of the men who submit it, they have, like, very professional, normal-looking pictures, and for whatever reason, when you're submitting as a female, it's like, overly seductive for no reason, or like what you got all these
Yeah.
pictures of kids,
Yeah.
which is extremely alarming, especially, like, going right into the type of casework that you're, working
Oh my
with,
god.
right, and
Yeah.
the task forces that you support.
Yeah.
So
I know. Like I've been hearing that. I haven't seen it myself, that a lot of like pedos are like on the forums online talking about how to use open software for AI to create like CSAM material, and that's like so disturbing because not only they are producing all of this material, it gets into like our case law. Are we allowed to charge if something is AI but it's like realistic? Because I know we can't charge right now. We can't charge computer generated images if they're like, if you can see that they're computer generated. But what about AI? If they're like super realistic, are we charging them or not? Like it's just very disturbing to me.
Yeah, and it poses a different challenge too. So if we do start charging for that, right, then you have all these hash sets that are already generated for known materials,
Hmm.
and then they just have to run it through. As far as my understanding is, they just can run it through an AI tool set, and then it'll have a whole new hash set, and it'll be almost the same material, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so I would imagine that that's kind of a nightmare in terms of investigations.
Yeah, because now we have all these things and we don't even have hashes for. Um, so.
Yeah. Are you seeing generative AI influence anywhere else in digital forensics?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it used for great things. For example, if we're like tools are using it for like minimizing the amount of data or images that we have to look at, like for example, identifying weapons or like currency and things like that. So it has a lot of good benefits. So I guess it's like everything. People can choose to use it for good or bad. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel like the majority is using it for bad
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess going into the new year, what do you think some of the key challenges are that you're anticipating for digital forensics? Because I know that we've been talking about a ton of different challenges and opportunities, but it would be interesting to hear your perspective.
yeah, I think the biggest thing we're dealing with right now is unsupported devices. Um, we can't like our tools will launch like support for like a version of the operating system, and then all of a sudden like Apple or will release like three other versions, and we're like we can't get cut off. So I think thinking outside the box and figuring out ways of okay, we can't get a full file system. What? How else can we get data? Can we do maybe use Evanol, for example, to pull misdiagnosed logs from the device, or can do we have access to the cloud accounts? Like, can we legally access the cloud, or do we have consent from the person? And let's just pull the say like do a Google takeout, for example, or an Instagram takeout, or another challenge. Let me see. Is for example, we can't keep up with case law, or like
Oh
case law
yeah.
can't keep up with all the digital forensics changes. Like I had somebody the other day ask me, "Oh, do we need a new search warrant for this?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like, uh, the device was here just pending support. It's been a couple of months. How long is like do we need a new search warrant? And it's gonna change depending on your jurisdiction and all of that. Or we may not even have the answers, and all you can do is do things like in the best faith, with your like your best intents, and keeping like obviously user privacy rights and all of that in mind, and just hope that it doesn't get thrown out in court. So that's a big challenge too. Mm.
Yeah, and I'm sure explaining like the different privacy laws and why those restrictions are there in court is not an
Yeah,
easy thing to combat.
yeah, we have been trying to do a lot of like education to like our prosecutors, and hopefully next year we can start training judges as well, just so they can understand. Because things may not be as black and white in digital forensics. So I think education is a big part of it. I think that's gonna be a big challenge for 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to train those people, right? Because we have
Mhm.
a lot of individuals who I think we forget about the non-technical audience that we're like presenting our findings to
Yes.
and how they are impactful to the case as well. So being able to educate them on what they're seeing and understanding the key artifacts and how privacy or encryption or cloud data is folding into that is really, really important.
Yeah, I
We don't
agree.
see enough of it.
I agree with you. Because we can like put together the best case and like do a lot of work, do like find the best evidence, and at the end of the day, if the jury and the judge doesn't, on our prosecutor doesn't understand it, then it's not good because the case is not gonna get a good, I don't know, good outcome.
Yeah. So how do you think it's best to present the technical findings to a non-technical audience
Yeah.
in like casework like that? Like, do you all use like storyboarding? Is graphics the best way to do it?
Uh, So I use a lot of analogies. I try to come up with a lot of examples, because you have to get to a good balance. You can't talk to them like they're dumb, because then they're gonna get offended and then they're not even gonna pay attention. Um, I have been like virtualizing a lot. Like for example, like if it's like a computer case or whatever, I will use like Arsenal to virtualize the computer and say this is possibly how the user was seeing. And For example, he's saying he had no idea of how any of this got to his computer, but for example, his wallpaper was of and that happened in one of my cases, a CSAM image right there in the wallpaper of the screen. So I mean, it could it be that he hadn't used a computer, or somebody else was using the computer and he didn't see it? Yes, it could be, but I mean, that's what the wallpaper was. So
Yeah.
just showing the jury what the user potentially was seeing, um, just making it.
So you virtualize it and then take I guess, a screen recording and show like the actual actions happening on the screen.
Yes, because yeah, I try not to try anything for the first time in court, because then that's Murphy's law. Things are not gonna work out, and then you're gonna look really bad. You're not gonna look like you know what you're doing. So I do that. Um, Again, lots of analogies. One thing that I saw one of our judges do in a recent case that I did, she was letting the jury ask questions. So that was pretty cool because
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I had never seen that. That way they could like ask everything that they wanted to ask, and we could be sure that they understood. Oh,
Talk about being put on the spot, though.
yeah,
The hot seat.
that was a really interesting trial because like I literally, instead of going to lunch at lunchtime, I would like run across the street to the sheriff's office to do whatever testing they asked in the questions, so I could answer the questions. And so that was a really interesting. That's that whole trial is in YouTube.
Oh my gosh, I'd be so interested to watch it.
No.
You got your steps in that day, running back and forth.
Yeah,
It's nice that you're able to, like, go and take the question and then actually test it, right?
yeah,
Just to be able to show them really quickly exactly how it's done or kinda, like, relate it directly to
yeah. Because I
their
didn't want.
experiences.
I don't know, and no, I was like, I don't know, but if you give me a few minutes during lunch, I will try to find out.
Okay. Wow. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So we do have to chat about Siri. Can
Uh,
you explain who Siri is, what Siri does for a living?
Yeah, absolutely. So Siri, her full name is Siri Cinnamon Bark. She was donated to our agency by Operation Underground Railroad back in 2017. We've been together for 6 years, a little bit over 6 years now. So she originally was a rescue dog. She finds electronics. So the way she does that is, you know how like drug dogs are like trained to smell a specific substance, like I don't know, some smell weed or cocaine or whatever. Some arson dogs smell accelerants. Well, she smells a specific odor that is pretty much coding most electronic devices. It's called TPPO, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce because I had to pronounce it for
We'll
trial.
just have people look it up.
Yeah, Google it.
Google it.
So, so she just finds that. So she finds SIM cards, SD cards, air tags, hard drives, you name it. She's pretty awesome.
I can't even imagine. How long is that training like process to train a dog
So,
to detect that?
so she was trained by Todd Jordan in Indiana. He's the same trainer that trained Canine Bear. That was the dog that was used in Jared Fogle, the subway guy. In his case.
Yeah.
Um, he's retired now, but not Todd. Bear is retired. um, so it's about 3 months, and then you go to a 2 week handler course just so you can learn how to read the dog and all of that. And then you recertify once a year. So
And so I did very briefly, like way back in the day before college. I actually did some dog training. I had a border collie and she was probably
Oh,
smarter than I was. But you just said like read the dog. I don't think people understand what you mean by that. But like the dog reads you and you read the dog in
oh
terms of
yeah.
like body language and like their interactions. Can you kind of talk a little bit more in depth about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So say we're doing a search. Um, we're doing a search like outdoors or indoors or whatever. Um, once you see she gets in odor, she's like kind of smells something that she recognizes. You can see how her whole behavior changes. Uh, like you'll see usually she'll do like a head tilt and like her her tail will get up and she'll like just start like sniffing and try to narrow down where the smell is. And once she finds it, so she has a really active alert. She usually just sits, and if I don't like reward her right away or recognize it right away, she'll start pawing it. So which that's a good thing that she's not a bomb dog because we would blown into pieces already. Um, but yeah, that's how she alerts. And sometimes if I like don't feed her, like because she's most like drug dogs or like arson dogs or human remains, they work based on toy rewards. Like they'll find whatever and you give them their toy. Not Siri. The way Todd trains them, they work on food reward. So Siri is only going to eat when she's working.
Same.
Oh, so obviously she loves food just like me. So she has to work at least twice a day, every day. Doesn't matter if I'm sick, tired, whatever. We have to work. But she, if it gets to like 5:30, she usually eats around 5 in the afternoon. If it gets to like 5:30 and I haven't fed her, she'll start gathering all my cell phone, my test cell phones, and all of that, and start throwing them or putting them up in a pile. So
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
pretty funny.
No, I kinda react the same way around coffee, like, if I'm walking down the street and I smell coffee, I'm like, "Wait,
Like,
what's that?" Follow the trail, go. So, what's your experience with working cases with Siri versus not working cases with Siri, especially in the ICAT community?
oh, like her first case, we went to a search warrant, and I wasn't the investigator assigned to that case. It was another one of my coworkers. She's retired by now. Um, so she's previewing all these drives, and everything that she's finding is encrypted, and the guy's not talking. So we got nothing. I right before we leave, I run Siri, and she sits. I noticed that she like looks up in the closet and sits. Um, and we start looking up in the closet, and there is like a basket full of laundry, and there was I believe it's like there was one hard drive. I think there were more than one, but there was one particular hard drive that it was not encrypted, and it had like terabytes of CSAM material. um,
Wow.
yeah, so eventually my coworker retired. I took that case over, and I was able to put the case together, and the guy fled. So after all these years of not not having resolution to this case. So it was
Yeah,
pretty.
how big was the facility that y'all were searching? Was it an apartment?
It
Was
was
it a
a
full
no, it was
house?
a house. It was a pretty big house. I think it was like 5 rooms and a garage. It was like a pretty good size house. Um,
Yeah. So without Siri there, it wouldn't have been there's no way you
no,
would have
we would
picked up
have
on
missed
that.
it
Yeah.
because they were already like the last thing that we do before we leave. We don't run the dogs right when we start because we don't want them to start hitting on like the things that we can see. Like we can see a computer. We don't want her to hit on that and get tired. So we do it as a sweep right as we leave, and we would have missed it. They had finished like clearing everything, and so it was pretty awesome. And she's awesome too with outdoor searches. We were there was this guy that decided to take his clothes off and just start like harassing people down a trail here in Sanford. And the deputy that was trying to get him to stop had his body worn camera, and it fell at some point. And all they could tell me was like, oh, it fell somewhere in this 3.5 mile trail. And we're like, okay. So I start running Siri. like literally, Siri starts running 3.5 miles, finds the body worn camera because it had an SD card. It had fallen like off the trail and bounced off the trail. She found that thing and then kept running the rest of the 3.5 miles back to. So yeah, she has a lot of energy. So she's awesome.
I good. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like she needs it. I also need some of her energy.
I,
I feel like
me too.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is so cool. I've seen her like live doing demonstrations and stuff like that.
Oh,
And she is quick. I feel like she just I did see the whole food thing. Like she definitely likes her snacks.
oh my God, yes. We were at a class at NCFI, and my classmates were like, "Oh, let her just walk around the classroom." I'm like, "That's a bad idea. No, 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 it should be fine." So she went around searching everybody's bags like a TSA dog, finds a sandwich out of somebody like in the bottom of somebody's bag, and just decides to eat it. Like he didn't want
She's like, I deserve this. I found the cell
it.
phone in here. So don't mind me.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Well, hopefully he wasn't too upset about the sandwich.
Oh no, no, he was fine, and I gave him a gift card for Jason's Deli or whatever. So
You made up for it. That's smart.
yeah,
I would have just been like, well, it's kind of
sorry.
like operation at risk here, okay? The sandwich shouldn't have been there. Well, awesome. So as we approach 2024, what do you think some of the key trends are that are going to develop into our community?
Oh, so a lot of AI stuff, of course. How can we automate things to make things easier for us? We are dealing with so much data. Uh, that there's not enough, like, number one, time of the day to like process everything, and number two, like storage space. We're like running out of like server space at work, so we can't process every single device that like fully process every single device, or like throw like what I call it the kitchen sink against every single extraction, and that's
Yeah.
like what I mean with that is you can just check everything, like all the artifacts, and just run and wait for everything to process. We have to become smarter about how we triage things and how we approach our cases, like ahead of time, not like just process everything and try to sort through all this data. So I think that's one thing. Um, Two, like thinking outside the box of how we if we can't get into a device, how can we get data? Like, are we gonna exploit like cloud stuff or I don't know some other types of logs? Get smarter about if we can't access a device, how can we get around this? Um, and
Kind of what you already spoke to with
yeah,
Evanol, right? So if you're dealing with a locked iPhone and the commercial tool sets that are known right now are
mhm.
not supporting the latest software update, how can you still get something out
Some,
of it, right? Especially if it's like sensitivity around the timeline.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had a case. It was a very sad case. We had this missing lady at work. She was missing for about 2 weeks, and obviously we're searching everywhere. Her friend, her good friend, was like, "Oh, I am the authorized user for her Google account." And it had been like 10 days by then. I'm the authorized user for her account. Here, will it help if I give you the credentials? So I pulled her Google Takeout data, and we were able to like pinpoint exactly where the car was. By then, they had already found her, sadly. But if we had gotten that information, like uh, I don't know, 5 days before or whatever, things would have been better. I mean,
Oh, that is sad.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting though to hear like the power behind the data exactly of where you could, pinpoint the location and where she was.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Mm.
yeah. We have a comment down by Aaron Sparling that says,
Oh.
the people were on per diem for the sandwich, so you didn't have to feel bad.
Oh. I forget that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you just gave away another free meal.
Oh, I'm trying. Oh, Siri just woke up.
Oh, what
Oh.
time was that? Was that a nap or was that like her getting up for the day?
Yeah. She heard the word sandwich. So,
Uh, well, awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
oh,
I
thank you.
really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for
And
having us.
I
Well,
love hearing all of the different success cases that you have too. So awesome.
thank you. Thank you. And Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. For the individuals that are listening, we do have another episode. It will be live on Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we have Marcos Ortiz from Seattle Police Department who will be speaking on trends that he's seeing in the ICAT community. So that's going to be exciting. I'm excited. I love supporting the ICAT community. It's my favorite
Oh,
mission.
thank
So.
you. Thank you.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see everyone on Tuesday.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.